Hello and welcome to Courts Today by Live Law. Let us get to today's top legal headlines. Justice Abhay S. Oak retired today from the Supreme Court. In his retirement speech, he said that a judge should be firm and strict and never try to become popular. The Supreme Court has refrained from sentencing a POCSO convict after noting that the victim is now married to him and did not see it as a crime. Senior advocate Adesh Agarwala has moved the Supreme Court challenging the SCBA election results of 2025. A Delhi court has issued notice to Union Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in a defamation case by Aam Aadmi Party leader's wife. A Delhi court has upheld right to privacy and rejected a husband's plea for hotel CCTV footage over allegations of wife's affair. And the Supreme Court has quashed UP Gangster Act FIR against Shwets University VC. I am Urvashi Chauhan with your daily roundup of legal updates from across the country. For a detailed reading, you can always visit www.livelaw.in. Please make sure to watch this video till the end and do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. Let me start by informing you that today was Justice Abhay S. Oak's last working day in the Supreme Court. He received a heartfelt farewell from members of the top court bar on his last working day. Remarkably, just a day after the passing of his mother, he came to the court and presided over a bench to deliver as many as 10 judgments. After he retired, lawyers expressed their gratitude for his dedicated service to the nation and his strong stance against injustice. A ceremonial bench led by Chief Justice of India B.R. Gavai, as is the tradition, was held to honor the outgoing judge. Attorney General for India R. Venkataramani praised Justice Oak for his tireless work in protecting liberty, freedom of speech and expression through his judgments, calling him a judge with a strong spine. Solicitor General Tushar Mehta recalled how Justice Oak always put duty first and shared heartfelt respect for him despite being on opposing sides in some times. Senior advocate Kapil Sibal, the former SCBA president, lauded Justice Oak's unwavering protection of liberty and compared his departure to a loss that creates an irreplaceable vacuum. Other senior advocates, including Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, S.V. Raju, Gopal Shankara Narayan, Menika Guruswamy, and many more expressed deep admiration, highlighting his transparency, fairness, and commitment to causes like improving Delhi's environment. Chief Justice B.R. Gavai called Justice Oak an outstanding judge and extraordinary colleague, noting his dedication and resilience, such as returning to work immediately after the loss of his parents. The CJI also revealed that both he and Justice Oak have decided not to take any post-retirement jobs. Justice Oak was praised as a teacher of law and ethics who emphasized that lawyers are officers of the court. His courtroom was known for encouraging ethical advocacy, and he was recognized for his immense energy and dedication, including helping establish the National Law University at Aurangabad. Let me tell you, in a lighter moment, Justice Oak joked that today was his only day that he allowed lawyers to speak freely, drawing laughter. In his farewell speech, Justice Oak expressed his humble commitment to upholding constitutional liberties, acknowledging that firmness sometimes meant offending people. He recalled advice from a great judge that a judge must not seek popularity but must uphold constitutional principles firmly. Ending with gratitude, he reflected on his judicial journey from starting practice at the Bombay High Court in 1983, becoming a judge there in 2003, serving as Chief Justice of Karnataka High Court in 2019, and being elevated to the Supreme Court in 2021. In the next update, the Supreme Court has decided not to impose a sentence on a man convicted under the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act after taking into account the unique circumstances of this case. The court noted that while the act was legally an offense, the victim did not perceive it as a crime and had instead suffered more due to the legal and social aftermath of the case. A bench comprising Justice Abhay S. Oak and Ujjal Bhuya exercised its powers under Article 142 of the Constitution, which allows the court to do complete justice in exceptional cases. The court observed that the victim, now an adult, is married to the convict and resides with him and their child. She expressed emotional attachment to her family and did not wish for the man to be punished. The court stated that the real trauma was caused not by the incident, but by the consequences that followed, including interactions with the police, the legal process, and societal judgment. The bench commented that the case highlights gaps in the legal system where the victim was denied an informed choice and was failed by both society and her family. Earlier, the top court had taken up the matter suo motu after setting aside controversial observations made by the Calcutta High Court last year. The High Court, if you recall, had acquitted the accused while making sweeping comments about adolescent behavior. The Supreme Court restored the conviction and formed a 3-member expert committee to assess the victim's welfare. Now, based on this committee's report, the court concluded that imposing a sentence would not serve the ends of justice. It also directed the West Bengal government to provide educational and financial support to the victim and her child. Further, directions were also issued to ensure proper implementation of sections 19(6) of the POCSO Act and sections 30 to 43 of the Juvenile Justice Act across all states. These, let me tell you, relate to ensuring the care, protection, and rehabilitation of child victims after a sexual offense is reported, including timely support services under the POCSO Act and long-term welfare measures under the Juvenile Justice Act. The Ministry of Women and Child Development has also been asked to consider the amicus curiae suggestions and submit a comprehensive report. And now let me tell you, Senior Advocate Dr. Adesh C. Agarwala has approached the Supreme Court challenging results of the Supreme Court Bar Association 2025 elections, citing alleged irregularities in the voting process. In the recently announced results on 20th May, Senior Advocate Vikas Singh was elected SCBA President for the fourth time, having secured 1047 votes, while Agarwala received 683 votes. Agarwala mentioned the matter before a bench led by Justice Suryakant, stating that approximately 200 additional votes were allegedly polled illegally. He claimed that a person not entitled to be president had been elected. In his application, Agarwala alleged that the election commissioner, Senior Advocate Mahalakshmi Pavani, campaigned for Singh, raising concerns of bias. He further claimed that the total number of votes polled exceeded both the number of slips issued by the election officers and the number of ballot papers distributed, suggesting possible fraud. Additional allegations include discrepancies in the conduct of the elections and that Mr. Vikas Singh sent campaign emails beyond the deadline for electioneering. Justice Suryakant responded that the matter must be heard by a special bench comprising himself and Justice K.V. Vishwanathan, which has been dealing with matters related to the SCBA elections. He also noted that if the bench is satisfied with the claims, the election could be set aside, but directed Mr. Agarwala to file a formal application supported by an affidavit and to serve a copy to the other side as well. A Delhi court has issued a notice to Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in a criminal defamation case filed by Lipika Mitra, the wife of Aam Aadmi Party leader Somnath Bharti. The case stems from a press conference held by Sitharaman on 17th May last year during the Lok Sabha election campaign, where she allegedly made false, defamatory and malicious statements targeting Bharti. According to the complaint, the statements were published on YouTube and aired on Republic TV and NDTV. Lipika Mitra has alleged that the remarks were made with the deliberate intent to tarnish her husband's public image, disrupt their family life and reduce his electoral prospects as the INDIA alliance candidate from the New Delhi constituency. The complaint states that the comments caused immense mental anguish to both Bharti and his family and damaged his standing as a respected public figure. The Additional Chief Metropolitan Magistrate Paras Dalal of the Rouse Avenue Courts noted that the case is at the stage of cognizance and that in line with Section 223 of the Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita, the proposed accused must be given an opportunity to be heard. The court has now listed the matter for 12th June for further proceedings. Stay tuned. A Delhi court has rejected a plea filed by a man, a major in the Indian Army, who sought CCTV footage and booking details from a hotel where he alleged his wife, also involved in a marital dispute with him, had stayed with another man who is also a major. The husband claimed this was evidence of an extramarital affair. However, the court upheld the fundamental right of privacy of the wife and her alleged partner. Civil Judge Vaibhav Pratap Singh of Patiala House Courts ruled that the right to privacy extends even to common areas of a hotel, especially against third parties who were not present there. The court held that hotel guests are entitled to confidentiality and that details like bookings and CCTV footage cannot be disclosed without a strong legal basis. Importantly, the court criticized the outdated notion of one man stealing another man's wife and said that this view dehumanizes women. Referring to the Supreme Court's judgment in Joseph Shrine versus Union of India, the judge reiterated that modern Indian law no longer supports such patriarchal notions. He also noted that the newly enacted Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita does not criminalize adultery, reinforcing this shift in legal perspective. The court also pointed out that the wife and her alleged lover, who were central to the case, were not even made parties to the suit. It questioned whether the hotel could be compelled to release private information without their inclusion. Further, it stated that courts should not become investigative bodies for personal disputes, especially when other formal procedures do exist. The judge also advised the husband to use the mechanisms available under the Army Act and rules to pursue any complaint through official channels rather than seeking court intervention for evidence gathering in a private dispute. And lastly, in an important ruling, the top court today quashed two FIRs filed against Vinod Bihari Lal, the Vice Chancellor of Sam Higginbottom University of Agriculture, Technology and Sciences, under the Uttar Pradesh Gangsters and the Anti-Social Activities Prevention Act 1986. The court said that the FIRs were nothing but an abuse of the process of law. A bench of Justices J.B. Pardewala and R. Madhavan set aside the Allahabad High Court's earlier decision, which had refused to quash the criminal proceedings, and upheld the issuance of non-bailable warrants against the VC under Sections 2 and 3 of the Gangsters Act. The UP police had alleged that the vice chancellor led an organized gang of two members involved in economic offences such as fraud, forgery, and tampering with documents for pecuniary gain. It was also alleged that their criminal activities instilled such fear and terror among the public that no one dared to report them or testify against them. The Allahabad High Court had previously ruled that a gang need not be violent to fall under the Gangsters Act, and that even economic offences could justify such classification if committed in unison by a group for a gain. The top court, however, disagreed and quashed all related criminal proceedings. It ruled that there was no legal justification to continue proceedings against the Vice Chancellor and found the FIRs to be misuse of criminal law.